Episode 4 in the 4-part series around industry overview. Mark Reynolds is back. We are going to look at a topic we have to talk about. And it's going to be interesting to see where we get to by the end of the 10, 12 minutes or so. Mental health in construction. We sit here on the 4th of October with World Mental Health Day 6 days away, which we here at the Build Network have produced and shot an unbelievably impactful and powerful video. As you're watching this, you will have hopefully seen it. Mark, welcome back. I don't want to finish on a negative, but we've got to look at this. As we know, suicide numbers in construction have gone up ridiculous amounts year on year on year on year, and they're continuing to do so. I've been working very closely with ONS. I don't think we've got an exact figure, but we do know how bad it is. It's $1 million question. What can we do? Because every week I'm hearing of somebody.
Yeah,
I'd probably ask you personal and CLC hat.
Yeah, so with a let me deal with the MACE corporate side, which I would say is personal, and also there's some family, unfortunately, taking their own lives as well. So, I've seen family situations, thank goodness, not very, very close, but relatively close relatives. It's just heartbreaking. If you then take it into workplace, we've had some really tragic instances, and you're thinking, what could we have done? Both some of our own staff and people working on our projects. Sometimes we just don't know. We've done lots of things about coffees, talking about people, trying to promote that, sharing things. I'm not sure whether it's really helped. I'd like to think it has. We put lots of time into it. I'm not sure it's really helped, but it could have. So I actually think, to answer your question, and it is the fundamental issue, is we just don't know, do we? We've not done a really real body of research into what's the true numbers, what do we think the causes are, are we trained in recognising those? I know, we've all run, larger companies have run mental health training and awareness courses. They've done the sessions. We'll be doing a series of sessions on during Mental Health Week and promoting that. But I still think we're scratching the surface. Do we really understand?
I must apologise for being very passionate about this, but you obviously know my story, and this is one of the big reasons behind the Build Network. We want to get these numbers down. My goal is to have a conversation with someone like yourself in X number of years, got record number of people coming to the industry, and the numbers of suicide are coming down. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Tick.
So just to sort of go on to the CLC piece was, HSC, and we have set up a safety group led by Henrietta Freighter and Mike Thomas. They are doing a great job about getting companies together to really think about how we're going to do that. Now, it is top down and it is a bit strategic, but you've got to start somewhere. And we've got to put this on it's on most companies' agenda because, quite frankly, the cost, both social cost and the financial cost, is enormous. Therefore, it's the right thing to do, and B, we've got to be in tune with it. I don't know there is any boardroom that doesn't talk about mental health and the issues of mental health on the individuals on their bottom line. So when the two are absolutely interlinked, those organisations take it seriously and hold themselves to account. There are lots of help networks around, and they should be promoted and celebrated, really.
There are some brilliant, I'm not tied to any of them, but you've got two types. You've got reactive and preventative.
Yeah.
My view is, from experience, when you get there, you're not downloading an app or texting someone. You're there. You're done. Nothing's going to get in the way. And what I believe at the moment, we're putting, and I usually work with the lads, we're putting a Peppa Pig plaster on a big compound fracture with the bone hanging out. It's not going to work. I think being too reactive, when you get to that stage, it's too late.
Yep.
We need to be more preventative. I've listed the things which I believe are this is, again, I feel slightly ignorant. I can't comment on sort of tier ones, but the residential sector, obviously we've talked about getting knocked, not getting paid, huge impact on finances.
Yep.
The van and tool theft thing is now a joke. I've been done. I even found the other week the deadlock I put on. Someone's had a go with a screwdriver. I don't know if the dog barked in the middle of the night. I don't know, but they didn't get in.
Yeah.
This is now silly.
Yeah.
Another conversation for another day. Working away from home, you put, again, I think, look at the tier 1, tier 2s, the work we've done, you're sometimes living in a fairly crappy accommodation. You're eating, it's your choice, but you're eating rubbish food. You're probably lonely, so you turn to, and again, this is evidenced, drink, drugs, gambling, prostitution. We've got to be real. You're sitting there eating rubbish, you're feeling bad, you're missing your family.
Yeah.
What do you do to pass the time? We mentioned the supply chain, the unrealistic targets and payment schedules. I think we've got to sort contracts out that, a gang of 11 decorators can be told to do one and not get paid on a job. That's obviously a big thing. And I think another thing is residential side, and also probably the bigger boys, there isn't that skilled labour to call upon if you need more people. So my view is, my view slightly changed in the last couple of weeks. I'm now believing there is a lot of strong evidence from individuals where work has pushed them to suicide, and that's been documented. But we also don't know what's happening at home.
Right. Yeah.
And when I mean home, you might be homeless.
Yeah.
You might have horrendous bad debts. Your partner might have left you. You might not be seeing your kids. But construction, we know, isn't good. So how do we need HSE to do more? Because at the moment, if a case, and I know of a couple, if that person's suicide is 100% because of work, and there's emails and meetings and WhatsApp and stuff to back it up, should HSE not be involved in some way?
Yeah, I agree that I think it is very high on their agenda. So the answer to that is it's high on their agenda, and they recognise the issue. And again, we have spoke about legislation, regulation. There's always going to be some bad actors who just either don't understand, don't want to understand, don't care, and they're the people we've just got to, ride out of our industry. They can't trade. That's the thing, is prevent them doing what they do.
Could we bring it into prelims tendering?
Yeah, absolutely. We've looked at that, and
I know it's difficult.
Well, funny enough, we had someone who was pretty vocal to me on mental health on introduce it into the contract. I do believe it should go in the annex of the contract for people to be aware of it. So and people can then choose how you do that. So I do think that, but I don't think we've worked out quite the efficiency mechanism yet. So what's the best way to do it? Because you went through several things. So the one that I tend to see most is a owner of a business financially having an issue and try to address that with them. You don't go around telling everyone, you go and help them, you give them the support. It's generally about making sure their business keeps going. That takes pressure off of that. There's a tremendous amount of pressure. So if anyone thinks, if you really want to put someone under pressure and cause a mental health issue, stop paying them and threaten to go lose their house because of that. So I think all of that does, that can be.
The drugs and alcohol testing, again, another huge subject for another day, but there's a big global pharma company wanting to work with us next year, which is great because their vision is very similar to mine. Not just trades, but white-collar workers as well. If you're caught over the limit or on something, if they're fired on the spot, I don't know what the figures are, but they're highly likely to be mentally struggling, potentially do something silly. My view is ask why.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be open with you. I was getting knocked a lot on jobs because of my bad management of it. I was going through the world's worst divorce, unlawfully made homeless. She had me put in jail unlawfully. I even ended up suing the police and winning. I couldn't see my kids. Everything over years and years. And then a combination of not having anywhere stable to live with getting knocked because my brain push, bang, So the answer was, it wasn't just construction.
No, it's your family environment.
It was a combination of everything. How do we get that individual the support without going, hang on, mate, you're a couple of months behind on your loan repayments or a project? That to me is the key thing, getting that person support before it gets too far.
Again, that's I have seen examples, sadly, some of them haven't worked, where you say this person needs some help, and you give them help, and you give them more help, and you give them help, and you can help quite a lot of people, and the problem just goes away. The ones that always, I retain more than anything, not the ones we solved, it's the ones we didn't solve.
Some don't want to help either.
Yeah,
sorry, but some don't.
So, but I do think that there needs to be, that's again, you need a network. So you gave some good examples about people working away from home, and I think that is again, we've seen that on one of our projects, someone working away from home by themselves, all the things you said, working away from home by themselves, in a bed sit, not great food, blah, blah, blah. Someone just said, is that right? If you're going to be in that environment, there's a high, if you did a risk assessment against that, and that's, perhaps what we have to do, we have to look at this as a risk assessment for our workforce, that will mean asking a few questions, and not everyone likes to answer those questions. That are you, and again, it's about digital data, have you filled out that questionnaire? If you are, you're going to be in that high risk zone. Have your situation changed? If we are able, we could really do this quite easily through our entry card system on our sites. We know where people travel from. We know what skills they are. I know Obi was on CSCS, but that actually is a good way of telling us what skills and competencies they got. If we knew if that people were prepared to give up their personal situations, i.e., where you live, what's your situation, and we explain why we're doing it. If they're in that high risk zone, they can be filtered off and given some support. But that only applies to the major projects, and that is really difficult in the micro world.
I think that's going back to being licensed and regulated, having an official body, not the millions of councils, federations, of having that support.
Yeah.
Even paying a small, 0.5% tax. I'm not encouraging people to pay more tax, of course I'm not, but something so we could go, right, there's a phone number, video call, something. Look, I'm struggling to get paid, or I've just had my van done. I think the big frustrating thing for me, and again, this is now from the heart, this is not any notes, I'm getting really frustrated, and that's a polite way of putting it. We've got 10th of October, World Mental Health Day coming up, and you will get so many organisations right across the board throwing crap up on social media, tick a box, here's a big flag waving it. Come the 11th or 12th, gone. And I think we need to have this consistent. So if you are a big company, small company, you're behind it all the way.
Yeah.
Because we can't dip in and out. And the only reason we're launching our video on the 10th is only because we're going to get a lot of traction from mainstream media. I mean, I'll sit here, obviously, on the 4th. This will be going out after the 10th. But, national press and TV are already talking to us about things. So how do we do you think, in a way, this needs to come from government, or is this HSE putting stuff in place? Because we need change now, because we can't lose any more.
I don't think you can wait for government, and government legislation is going to take too long. So, again, I talk about the CLC safety group and what their focus is on mental health. And, the big tier ones are getting behind this, and we want to solve that problem. That is, it might sound a bit condescending, but that is the Formula One world. The Formula One world provides stuff to the cars in the future. It isn't going to be immediate, but how we get that through, we can do it much quicker with the trade body networks. So do you think the trade associations is a rapid route to pass that knowledge down through, because they're all part of the CLC Council, so they hear it, they see it being done by people who invest in time, they benefit from that, they could pass it down. But I think the challenge is seeing the issues up front. How do we put people who it's obvious they're going to be in that higher risk category? Because honestly, thankfully, 80-90% of the workforce aren't high risk categories. It's that last 20% that if we can get into the last 5%, if we can take 15% out just by some simple interventions, that would make a big difference. And then we need a different care system, support system for that last 5%.
The other thing, just quickly, what frustrates me, we had a meeting July 2023, CEO of charities, I think you had a representative, TLC had a rep there, CITB, so a good room of people. And I chaired it, and we actually got told face to face, I won't mention names, but we need to work together as an industry to fix it, simple as that. But you've got certain charities, there's a very famous line, I won't mention who, but it's now used amongst all of us, stay in your own lane, when we asked about working together. Because some charities are doing very well out of this, and it's on Google. Some charities have got millions sitting in the bank, and we've got record numbers of suicides. They won't work closely with a smaller charity or a slightly different charity. And I think to pull it together, we need to work together.
Yeah, but that's employers and industry, it's employers, individuals, not necessarily the charities are there as to support when and they have some resources to do that. But the better ones, again, it's like any organisation, the better ones will recognise they've got to be collaborative. But use those ones, don't use the others.
We've been told by CEOs, we're doing it on our own, we're doing really well, thanks. And that's really, if we're flogging shoes or, angle grinders or whatever, fine. But I think when it's your dad,
they have the same issues.
It's we need to pull together.
Yeah.
Because, working en masse on this would be. Final point, my view, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. We've got some brilliant people doing wonderful things around mental health. We don't need more white papers. We don't need more research. We know the problems. I can tell you exactly why, as others can. But the problem is with all these brilliant people of different levels in the industry, they're doing it in their spare time as a goodwill. Do you feel we need to set up I don't know what the word is, task group, steering committee, panel, but a group of people, and I've always said 10 or 12, and it's their job, and they're responsible. So you would have an apprentice, you would have an architect from a tier 1, you would have a crane operator. So somebody from each part of this millions of people with an experience in mental health, and there's obviously a lot of research saying that these 2-day courses don't work, and I believe that. But them working as a unit closely with CLC or HSE or government or CIC, whoever it is, to put something in place. Because I think it's great we've got people doing it in their spare time, but they've got jobs where they're getting paid.
Yeah.
I think that task force, in my opinion, could be the beginning of sorting this out.
So let's just, and I'll let you challenge whether it's the right or wrong thing. When you say people are doing it in their spare time, there is a group of people doing this already. They are employed, and their employers are allowing them to go to a session and look at things during the day whilst they're being employed to tackle this issue.
Yeah.
So they are being, whether you say, actually we're going to create full-time employees, and some organisations have created full-time employees to be mental health specialists.
I'm aware of
specialists. Things are, I think they're hand in hand.
I think my view is, and sorry, I didn't explain it well, but yeah, you're right what you're saying. I think that's great, but obviously their core focus is their employer.
Yeah. And
I think, when you send someone a 2-day first aid course and suddenly you get a phone call from someone, standing on a bridge about to launch themselves in front of a train, that person can't be qualified in 2 days.
No.
I think if you've got a good mix of people sitting in that room with a boss from maybe a mixture of organisations, but their role is to work with micro, SME, tier 1, tier 2, government, and put something together. I just think that's their job.
I'll challenge you again. I'm not sure that you really, without, and you said no research or no further data, unless you can pinpoint that group of people who really do need help, who aren't speaking to you, don't know what they're doing. You don't know what you don't know.
I think, again, apologies, I'm so passionate, I trip over. Because I'm quite old, know an awful lot of people in the industry, I can answer every single question because of the people I work with day in, day out. I could give you absolutely every reason people get to the point, why they don't succeed. The people I know that work for the tier 1 or tier 2s, all the way down to one-man band, painter and decorator. I personally believe we've got enough facts and figures from, I don't want to use the word cases, but, disasters, that we can now put something in place. I really believe that.
We should get together a group and look at that, because I think if that is the case,
hand on heart, I wouldn't put my neck out because I'm quite passionate about this, but there's some people that don't like putting their head above the parapet, but some of the knowledge out there, I guarantee, I would say, and I'm not saying I want to do it, but I guarantee, give me 12 months with the right group of people that full time, we'd have something in place that would stop this pretty much overnight. And I'll sit here on camera and say that.
I'll set up a CLC working group.
100%. And we could sit here and go, done.
Okay.
Because I showed you...
Done.
The great thing is we have 3 cameras in here. We have a wide, we have Mark's, we have mine. That's it. I think it's been wonderful having you in, Mark. I think it's brought the 4-part series to it. As I've said, we could sit here and talk for hours. We're trying to sort out an industry with millions of people, 9.2% of GDP. We've got a bloody good industry. We've got some wonderful people in it. We are at a bit of a tipping point. We've got a few things we've talked about that need to be corrected. But if we can get more youngsters in, if we can increase the image, because God, I'm proud when I'm on the tools. I love what I do. And when we've got people like yourself, we can turn this into a great industry again. And I don't think it's going to take as long as some people are saying. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Really
had a lot of guests in, from the lovely Charlie Mullins, who's got his views, worked with all sorts of people in the media, but I've really enjoyed this, and I really think it's having followed you and read your pieces, it's never the same until you sit down and have a chat, and I think it gives us a lot of confidence from the micro and SME sector that good times around the corner.
Yeah.
And this, we want to be positive, but in order to be positive and move forward, you've got to address difficult subjects.
Yeah, we have challenges every day, so
we do. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you ever so much.
Really enjoyed it.
Really appreciate it. And yes, as I say, if you want to follow Mark, obviously chairman and CEO of MACE, but also co-chair of CLC. I hope you've enjoyed this series. I certainly have. And for the meantime, Mark, thank you again.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with a new 4-part series, same time next week.